a Portuguese icon, Ballon d'Or winner, Champions League winner, but also a Judas? Enter Luís Figo. Luís Figo is a football legend who was able to create a legacy that every football fan can admire, except for one place, and that's Catalonia. But why though? Was it because of his bad behavior in the city, or was it because he badmouthed the Barcelona club that pissed the Barcelona fans? No, it was way worse in the Barca fans' eye, and that is moving to their arch rival Real Madrid. So if you sit long enough, we're gonna talk about how the best player and the captain of a club can become the biggest enemy in the club's history, and that's Luís Figo. So before Figo ever moved to Barcelona, he was in the white and green shirt of Sporting, where he was an admirable player and he was a massive fan favorite. But someone of his talent had to go to a bigger club, enter Barcelona. So Luís Figo would move to Barcelona in 1995, and at that point, he was a good signing. Every fan was looking forward to see how good he was in a Barca shirt. So he signed in 1995, and he was a good player. He was an admirable player, with players like Ronaldo, players like Rivaldo, and many more that entered the club. He was still able to stand out, winning the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup in 1996-97, winning 2 La Ligas in a row, and winning a Copa del Rey throughout his career at Barcelona. He was so connected to the club that he would dye his hair the same colors as the Catalan club. He would even, during the celebration, take the microphone and mock Real Madrid, because at this point, Barcelona and Real Madrid was just not just a football rivalry, but it was a symbol of how the Catalan people felt. This was their form of expression to mock the Madridistas, to mock the city of Madrid. And like I said, Figo was a Portuguese player. He wasn't Catalan, but the way he carried himself, the way he carried that club was more than a Catalan could ever do it in that club. But by the way, why would you dye your hair that color, bro? Like, I'm just thinking about it, like,
what do you gain from that?
You can show your love to a club more than that. You didn't have to dye your hair. But you know what they always say, good things come to an end. Because in the summer of 2000, Luís Figo would sign for the literal op, Real Madrid. And to say this was controversial is an understatement, because Figo wasn't just a Barcelona player. He was damn near a legend. He was the captain and he was the symbol of the entire club. This is basically Captain America going to Hydra. And so many Barcelona fans hated him. So many Barcelona fans called him a greedy bastard. They said he was money hungry, that he was so greedy, that his love for money was more than the love for Barcelona. But from Figo's point of view, he thought that he was getting paid less than how he was worth. But there's another person who played a major factor in Figo's transfer, and that's Florentino Pérez. That he would negotiate with Figo's agent, saying that if he won the presidency, that Figo would come to the club. And that's exactly what would happen. After crazy speculation, after ups and downs, after left and right, Figo would eventually sign for Real Madrid. It was a hefty price, 62 million, 55. It was in the 50 to 60 million, that's all I know. And imagine that's a world record. Like, guys like Nicolas Jackson can be sold for 50 something million right now. That's all I'm saying. Like, but Figo would move to Real Madrid, and it was a bombshell of news, not only in Spanish football but in world football. And just like that, Figo would turn from red and blue to all white. Absolute madness. Few months into the next season, El Clasico happened, and it was in the Camp Nou. And at this point, I don't think any Barca fan was saying, let's beat Real Madrid. It was, let's make Figo's life a living hell. Because Real Madrid will come away to Camp Nou to face Barcelona, and it was absolute madness. Every time Figo get the ball, whistles, boos, all kinds of names. The match would stop every time Figo would take a corner, because, he was nearby the Barca fans. These guys would have probably taken him out immediately. And bro, they would not stop, because few seasons later again, El Clasico at the Camp Nou, Figo is about to take a corner and they threw a pig's head, bro. a pig's head. Like, Vapas did a pig's head. What?
Out of pocket for that shit. Way out of pocket. What do you gain from that?
And they were saying, Figo should delete himself. He should get deleted, if you know what I mean. I don't want to say crazy stuff on YouTube, it is. They were saying Figo should get off the face of the earth. They were saying the worst things, bro. And I don't blame them because Figo, I'm not gonna lie, his face, he didn't look like he had any form of remorse. I mean, I wouldn't blame him. It's Real Madrid. And what's crazy, there've been so many players to move to Barca, Real Madrid, vice versa. R9, Luis Enrique, and more. But they don't get so much hate like Figo because Figo was a symbol. He was the best player at that time. And I don't blame Barca fans at the same time for hating him like that. And to rub salt onto the wound, Figo would have a great career at Real Madrid. He would win the Champions League and he would win the Ballon d'Or in 2000, where majority of that time he was playing for Barca. Like, damn, bro. Okay, you know what? That's kind of messed up. I'm not gonna lie, bro. No! But like I said, Figo is a legend in the grand scheme of things. But he is super hated when it comes to Barcelona. And he doesn't regret it. He's proud to have played for both of them. And that's just a crazy career to have, I'm not gonna lie. To be the best player at Barcelona for that certain time period and be the best player again for Real Madrid, okay, arguably, at that time period again. And that's Luís Figo, a legend in the grand scheme of things, but super hated when it comes to Barcelona, even more than 20 years later.